Me or you?
Steve, start us
You
off.
don't-
Go first. Oh, I'm sorry.
Medically, I'm thinking a pretty good place. Pete seems to be doing well from the accident. Robbie feels good. Guess, Sterling's moving along well. Walker came out of yesterday really good, so far so good. Nothing that's jumped out at us yet. I just met with the reason I was a couple of minutes. I wanted to talk to the trainer before I came down here, make sure I didn't miss something during the workout. What else?
What's the next step for Marte at this point? How close is he to?
Yeah, there's this thing called day-to-day. Sorry. It's getting better. It's making progress. He's doing a little bit more each day. Not really quite ready to go in the to swing yet, but there's a progression they're following.
What'd you take out of Max's outing today?
Good. Got through. Felt really good physically and got his 4 innings in. He'll probably be at 10 by the time we leave here, huh?
Buck, last year at times, especially with Jeff and Francisco, there was, I guess, a lack of experience dealing with some of the shifts that the team had him in. I saw today you guys.
Who are you talking about now? Which
Jeff
one?
and
So it's Jeff?
Jeff and Francisco. Yeah, trouble with the shifts and where, especially during double plays, where.
I'm assuming that was the situation. You know that was what it was?
Yeah.
He had his problem? Okay.
Yeah, so I saw today you guys had the defense already starting to shift in sim games. Is it important, even in this shortened spring training, to get those guys to just experience kind of reps rather than just mentally thinking about what you need to do in each situation wherever these guys are positioned on the field?
Yeah, I think especially the last part of the spring, but early on we're just trying to get our bats and plate appearances, I should say, and innings played, get the physical part of it. But those things go on a lot behind the scenes, talking about those things. I know Joy and our people that help us with that. They've been moving at a pretty good clip with it. So it's not something. No, both of them have been very receptive to all the things that we're going to ask them to do.
Who wants to be next there?
Nobody.
On that side. Tim, Felix, go ahead.
What do you think of the current New York City rules that would prohibit unvaccinated players from playing home games?
Yeah, I've heard some of the talk about it and what have you, and we'll let that run its course and see where we end up. Not at a point where, right now we're just trying to get ready for the season, and those things have a way of, resolving themselves one way or the other. When it all clears, we'll see what we got and adjust. But players, it's not on a hot topic conversation at this point, but I understand the possibility of it becoming one.
Do you think that if it came down to it, some of the unvaccinated guys would get the shot for the sake of playing at home?
I don't know. You have to ask them. I wouldn't infringe on that and ask them that. It's their personal decision. But I don't know. What do you think?
I tried to ask them. They weren't.
Oh, you're getting a better response from me than you got from them. Right?
Actually, you sounded just like them, to be honest.
That's Harold's talking points. Now, if we were getting those, do we have any of those? You do that? You do talking points? No. You would never put words in somebody's mouth. You would just make a suggestion.
Just make sure that what they say is clear and understood.
Why isn't it? What do we got? What else? Before I say something really stupid. I'm punch drunk.
Tim Britton, go ahead.
You saw McGill, Peterson, and Yamamoto today. How do you kind of look at those maybe depth starting pitchers and kind of how you put them in a hierarchy at this point, especially with Carrasco and Walker potentially behind?
Behind you talking about as far as physically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think about how I want to depth. If I was them, how would I want to be called that? They're impressive, okay? I'm not without singling somebody out. And do I think that we're going to end up with Ty and Carlos both in the rotation start the season? I hope so. But shame on us if we're not prepared. But, you know, I think they're more than what ifs. You know, I think they're going to, you know, be some people. They're not the only ones that give us some good feeling about if we do have those issues to be able to have some consistency there. You know, I was really impressed with or both of them today, 2 of them.
Mike?
But there were 3.
Buck, just wondering, you probably saw the Phillies sign Kyle Schwarber. Do you think?
I just heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, do you think a move like that increases the importance of finding kind of a experienced lefty for the bullpen?
That's a good point, but doesn't increase. You know, Billy's been on top of that from the get-go. It's, you know, I'm going to look from within what we have here and try not to overlook an orchid while searching for a rose. You know, so there's somebody. I look at it as somebody here, and if Billy walks in and thinks we have a better solution somewhere else, I certainly don't want the players thinking. I mean, if you're left-handed here and I'm saying we've got to find a guy, I mean, what does that say? So I think it's, if we don't have a left-hander in our bullpen, you know, Trevor, Seth, Edwin, Otto, they can get left-hand hitters out.
Tony in the back. Mike, raise your hand, back behind you.
Given how many innings he threw last year relative to previous years, McGill, is he a guy you could look at potentially in the bullpen, or if he doesn't, you know, make the starting 5, would he potentially just be stretched out in the minors?
I don't think we're there yet. You know, my gut is that he's just such a good starting pitcher prospect that, you know, you'd hate to use that against him, having, you know, 5 other guys, but I wouldn't rule anything out at this point. It's too early in the camp to rule something out, but, you know, from a development standpoint, it'd be a little bit of a stretch to keep him here in the pen with what our needs are going to be if he doesn't make the club.
Hey, Buck. What do you envision Canó's role being this year? I mean, at 39 after a year away, getting 500 at-bats kind of thing? Or how do you imagine using him?
You say 500?
Yeah, I mean, like an everyday guy, or how do you imagine using him?
No, I think very similar to what I've said yesterday. I think it was about the question about Robbie. You know, I've got to go into it that it's, I wouldn't say a given, but to be expecting some time, you know, knowing, you know, where he is physically and what have you. You got to prepare for that. I'm not going to get cornered into exact number at bats, and you know, I'm hoping that he's playing so well that we're having to, you know, really talk ourselves into giving him some time. You know, one if he's physically able, and 2, is he doing well when he's out there? There's 2 parts to it. But you know, if he's, you know, he's going to get a chance to not do it. In other words, you know, I don't want to say fail, but he's going to get a chance to. He feels good. He's got a great face going right now. But you know, knowing what I know and talking to him, it's kind of when it has to happen, or when, as not opposed to if it happens. So you know, you got to go into it. He understands where he is physically and where he is in his career. But boy, it would be nice to get him out there. Exact number at bats, exact games at second base, games at DH, maybe first base. That's kind of where you're going to see him, and where it shuffles out, we'll see.
You said a matter of when, not if. I think so. It's not like he's a curiosity, like how much he has left, or what kind of.
Oh, his you know, bat to ball skills, he's still there. His little things today, like he gets hit by a pitch and he's right on the next breaking ball. There's a little thing, you know, those are little things you look for. A lot of guys after getting hit with a pitch after being out a year or so, and you're going, come on, let's go. No, he's competing. You know, he's got that look in his eye. I've learned through the years, don't sell guys like him short. He's got pretty good pedigree.
Buck, when it comes to Canó, you use terms these previous days like move on, etc. Why?
You're talking about from the last year's problem?
Well, he's been suspended twice. It's not a very long list of people who've cheated their game twice. Why should people move on?
Well, they don't have to. I'm not telling them to.
Why should your team move on? Some of those guys were cheated by Canó, right?
Well, there's some, because you don't have any choice, too. The games are going to start. We're going to live there. I know the tenor of our club and the way they feel about it. And that's their personal decision. Maybe someone, if you got them in a private moment, might speak differently to it. But for the most part, it's conducive to our club to move on. And I think that's why the guys have so far embraced it. Hasn't been a topic of conversation. Is that good or bad that it isn't a topic of conversation? That's a debate for another story. Or maybe this one.
Well, just to follow up, you're somebody who wants to have rules in their camp. Why are you okay with him breaking the rules of the game?
I didn't say I was okay with it.
Why are you okay having him back in your good graces when he's done something that probably upsets your sense of the game?
Well, I think also if we look at all of ourselves before we start, we've all made some mistakes. Sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, sometimes 4 times. I mean, thank goodness we live in that world. If there wasn't any forgiveness along the way, then it may look kind of selfish from the standpoint. Well, what are we supposed to do? Not play him, beat up on him every day. I mean, what's the return there? He's wearing our colors, and we're going to have somebody do something. I tell guys all the time. I said, when you do things, you got to think about how it reflects on your teammates. Okay, it's not so much talking to Robbie thing. He felt the worst about was kind of not being there for the club and the team, and I choose to believe him. And have I sat down and said, why did you do it? And what drove you and all that stuff? I think I have some curiosity, but now's not the time. So right now we're trying to get our club ready to start a major league season, and I think that's the most conducive way to do it at this point. Obviously, there's some things privately that we all feel about things we don't air publicly, but we all have decisions to make. Sometimes the yes button and the no button have a fight behind your head.
Guys like J.D. Davis and Dom Smith, who are on their 3rd manager in like 4 years, and
maybe on their 4th.
Right. And their names are constantly in trade rumors. Also, they struggle to find spots in the lineup on an everyday basis. Do you have to communicate differently with them than other players?
That's a good question from the standpoint that I try to put myself in their shoes. Okay, whether it be a relief pitcher, whether it be a starting pitcher. Like when they came into camp, who has some squirrels running around about what's expected? Where am I at for me? Just normal human nature. So, I have tried to talk to them, but not in the depth that we're going to, because I don't want to tell them something that's not going to happen yet. It's obviously, so I am aware of that the unknown they must be thinking about right now. This is, what's in it for me? That's just human. Where am I going to fit? And, believe me, if you want to ask a question the guys know the answer to is who's got options, but we know we can't do it but 5 times. I'm hoping, there's a spot for both those guys. They can help us.
Yesterday, you talked a lot about Dom's ability to hit. What did you think about his day at the plate today?
Really made me look prophetic. I was talking to Bassett over there in the visiting dugout, and I just said I didn't know he heard me, but he did. I said, God, I hope this guy doesn't hit Robbie here, and hits him. Bassett looks at me like, and I said, I'm not saying anything else. But I did come back to him after Robbie was right on the breaking ball next pitch. I don't think sometimes I'm getting off here, realize you get hit by a pitch, it hurts. It hurts. But then to stick your nose right back in there on the next pitch with somebody you really don't know, and you don't know whether he's got enough command, is going to throw the next one who knows where, and stick your nose in there on a breaking ball and just miss hitting it out of the park. That's pretty, if you're not watching that and taking it in, you're going, that part of his game we know is still there. What was your question?
About Dom's 2 home runs off Scherzer.
Yeah. Max would never throw him those pitches during the season. I think everybody knows the type of pitches that Dom handles real well, and believe me, Max knows too.
Max actually said that Dom hasn't hit those pitches off him before in the past.
Max would say that. If somebody ever traded someone like Dom, trust me, Max gets traded. Who knows? He won't see those pitches in the season. I was talking to Max about that, about spring training, how he'd take it. I don't know, a few days ago. I won't give it up because he'll think I'm giving up some competitive edge, but he has a grip on what spring training is about. I think if we gave him some baseballs to put in his back pocket, like coaches do when they throw batting practice, to get his work in. He felt good about his breaking ball day. He was a little frustrated one of the outings about getting it with the shape and the tilt that he was looking for. He said he felt good about that today. He threw 59 pitches today. Peterson threw 25. McGill threw 45. Yamamoto threw 35. We had a running bet about when it was going to rain. If I go out there and it's still not raining, obviously we pushed it way up because we heard anywhere from 12:15 to 1:15. Then I heard at 3 o'clock. I'm hoping it's raining right now. There's a bench coach and somebody else that's really hoping it's raining right now. That screwed up everything we wanted to get done today, which we'll have to double up tomorrow to get the relays and some other things that we need to get in.
I'm glad you brought up the bench coach. I wanted to ask you about Glenn. What is it meant having him here? And, you know, just the fact that you guys have so much history together. How do you think that's going to manifest?
I'm not one of those guys that, Glenn through the years, obviously I've known him for a while. Got kind of separated from him. We were talking about the other night. I'm not a big suck face with the other team guy. They're wearing the other uniform. Not that I don't like them or respect them. People I've known for, it's a hi, hello. So it's not like we were having dinner with each other in between, but the respect, for Glenn. There's a reason why he has been around as long as he has. One, he's an outstanding catching instructor, and he's just got a great tenor about him. Players seem to gravitate towards where he's just got a calmness, doesn't take himself too seriously, but is serious about the right things, and he's got a pure heart. He's just trying to make him better, and I know he's excited about this job, and it's nice to be back together with him again. We haven't, stayed close as most jobs would allow you to. This one's always been a competitive thing. We've always said hello, but not like exchanging Christmas cards. Yeah. Well, I'll get one from him this year, I hope. I did a thing. Every year I take the Christmas cards and I bring them to spring training and put them up around the office, and they know I better get a Christmas card when I get up in my office. I brought the ones just, I don't know, this year.
Him for his first coaching
Pardon?
job. You hired him for his first coaching job?
He was a player coach in Albany in 1989. He had to activate him for 2 days with Jim Leyritz and Johnny Ramos, I remember, and I had to play him one night in New Britain. He was so pissed that I had to run him out, and all the stuff he'd been teaching the catchers, now they were over on the bench going, Glenn, you didn't do this, Glenn, you didn't do that. But his batting practice has been legendary. Guys fight to get in his group, so when I was able to sell him, taking him to New York, I had 2 guys that I was allowed to kind of take, he and Monk. One, I knew he was a good catching instructor, and I needed somebody to cover the catching, and he threw great batting practice, which I knew the players would love him for that. And then, obviously, I took him with me to Arizona to run all the catching. Hired the catching coordinators. He did all the scouting and drafting of the catchers. Damian Miller, he hit on Damian Miller for us. He hit on Kelly Stinnett, Jorge Fabregas. These are the guys he scouted for 2 years to make the right picks. Damian Miller was a great pick by him.
Thank you, everybody.
That's it. We didn't get the good stuff.
What's the good stuff?
No, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go see if, did I get in trouble? I didn't read any stuff, but my wife said, did you really say you'd take it anywhere. She said, don't do that. She just moved, got in New York today. What's the weather like back there for our caller?
I didn't even look. Is it cold back home?
Yeah? What do you would call it warm? 60? I hope it's raining. Or maybe I hope it isn't, because Rack's gonna get some money from me. He said it would start raining at 1:15. I said 12:15, and we're both wrong, right?
Traditionally, in the 60s, we'll take that for opening day.
Phew. I always like to look at the weather in New York on the day that we would have opened. I hope it's snowing.